from 42nd and 2nd. This is the PIX11 News at 4.
Well, summer is just around the corner, and warmer weather means people will be hitting the beach. And being sun savvy is more important than ever.
Yeah, thousands of cases of melanoma can be cured if caught early. A dermatologist joins us to explain next. Well, May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and today is Melanoma Monday to encourage people to get their skin checked.
Yeah, according to the Skin Cancer Foundation, 1 out of 5 Americans will develop skin cancer by the age of 70. And melanoma in particular is the most dangerous form of skin cancer.
This year, almost 200,000 people are expected to be diagnosed in the U.S. More than 7,000 are projected to die. But melanomas can be curable if caught and treated early.
Yeah. And joining us now to talk about it is dermatologist Jeanine Downie. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me, Arnie.
All right. First of all, let's jump right in. Can you tell us a little bit about how skin cancer forms, particularly melanoma?
Okay, so skin cancers come from family history. They come from sun damage. Sometimes they can rise up in a scar, in scar tissue, that type of thing. And so pretty much they're the most preventable type of cancer. And here in the United States, 1 out of every 3 cancers diagnosed, according to the Skin Cancer Foundation, is a skin cancer. So that's very significant. So we as dermatologists, we're trying to get people to wear sunscreen every single day, rain or shine, January through December, and that's regardless of what ethnicity you are. So they can just come up, something that's a pimple, Arnie, Corey, something that's not healing properly, something that just looks a little weird. We call it like the ugly duckling kind of a thing. That means you need to go see your board certified dermatologist.
You know, I had a thing, I'm not getting personal, mind you, but I had a thing, it was kind of weird, so I'm like, you know what, I should just get this thing checked out. I mean, whatever, I'm just going to go and just have a dermatologist look at this. And so he looked at it, it was fine, I'm fine, whatever, no big deal. But when that happened, I immediately said, look, Bob Marley, melanoma,
right.
died.
Right.
Like that,
right.
That's always, first thing goes into my head, you know, you mentioned it, black, white, doesn't matter. You got to be on this stuff.
And he had it underneath his toenail where obviously sunblock would not have helped him, but it was misdiagnosed at first. And quite frankly, Corey, African Americans have like a 71% survival rate from melanoma, whereas Caucasian Americans have a 93% survival rate. And like both of you said accurately at the beginning, melanoma survival rate is over 99% when it's diagnosed early, but many times they're just not diagnosed fast enough. And so therefore you see the discrepancy in the 5-year survival rate.
So a lot of times when we hear about melanoma, we hear about, you know, misformed moles or something like that. Can you really break down what it is, especially compared
100%.
to something like basal cell carcinoma or something like that?
Right. So basal cell is the most common skin cancer in the United States. There's 4 million diagnosed every single year. Melanoma is much less common. It is asymmetrical. It's usually a darkly pigmented lesion that's asymmetrical. The borders are irregular. The color can be varied. It can have blue. It can have red. It can have purple within the mole. The diameter is usually bigger than a pencil eraser, so bigger than 6 millimeters. And every bullet point that you have there, it may run in the family. Having a lot of moles increases your risk. And it can be in areas, especially for Asian Americans and African Americans, where it's the palms, soles, the genitalia, under the fingernails or toenails, and even inside the mouth. So it does not necessarily have to be on sun-exposed areas, Arnie.
That's good to know, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was talking to this doctor, he's like, you know, there are some patients that I have, they come in every year, and we do this thing, I don't know if they do pictures or a scan or whatever, and they like track all their moles, and then every year they're like, all right, let me look at this one, let me look at that one, because you can't see your whole body, right? Now, to me, that sounds incredibly awkward and invasive. How does that work?
So what we do for people that have a ton of moles is we look at old pictures, we look at what they look like in front of us, and we ask them if anything's changing. Hopefully they have a partner that can help them with their back and the backs of their legs, but patients are our best help with that type of a process because they tell me, oh no, Dr. Downie, this thing right here, this changed a little, this started itching, this started bleeding. So we communicate with the patient to find out what's what. And the picture that you're showing, that's a dermatoscope. And so we look through the dermatoscope to note the changes in the mole. If a mole is changing, that's not a good sign. So we have to communicate with the physical live patient. But many, many times you have to take pictures in some areas that otherwise you wouldn't want a picture taken of, Corey, to your point, and that can be invasive to some people, but it's necessary sometimes to save their lives.
So how often should we be doing kind of like this self-inspection and looking for detection? Obviously, because early detection can help save your life.
Right. So I recommend that everybody look at their skin a minimum of once a month from head to toe. Women are supposed to check their breasts once a month. They should look at their skin head to toe once a month, and men also. In terms of going into the dermatologist's office, that's once a year for a full body screen where we part your hair and we go from your scalp down to your toes, and we kind of look everywhere. But if you have a strong history of skin cancer, if you've had a lot of skin cancers, then perhaps it's every 6 months, or perhaps it's even every 3 months, Arnie. It just really depends.
Okay, what about children? I mean, I assume anyone gets skin cancer. I'd hope it would be more rare in children, but
Right.
what does that look like?
It is more rare in children, but unfortunately, in 40% of the cases, it's misdiagnosed. And so a lot of times children are misdiagnosed at first within pigmented lesions, then figured out later, and unfortunately, they're farther along. So even children that have a history of skin cancer or have a lot of moles should be checked out at a young age. I have no problem with that. And the Skin Cancer Foundation and other board certified dermatologists agree with me. And everybody should use a sunscreen of an SPF of 30 or above every day with reapplication. That is key.
Well, Dr. Downie, we thank you so much, just for shedding your expertise and light on this situation, and just in this month that we highlight something like this, because as we said, there's so many other kinds of skin cancer that we could go into, but we thank you for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, thank you again. All right.